today is also an auspicious day because of the Ram Navami. So happy Ram Navami to all of you. But before Shad starts his discourse on Mandukya Upanishad, which is the shortest of the Upanishads, but maybe it has a wider connotations. So I would request Swami Suparnanand to please say a few words and bless us to start the discourse.
Om Jananing Shadudang Deving Ramakrishnam Jagat Gurum Padapatmitayo Sitva Pranamam Muhu. So today, this afternoon, we are going to have a grand feast for 3 or 4 days. We'll be having, it is a feast on a spiritual food he will be distributing, and we are ready to receive. Sri M is not altogether unknown to us. All you know, he has been kindly visiting us for several years, and we, the Calcuttans, really are fortunate to have him with us, and we are fortunate to hear from a person who is a realized soul, so to say. Those who are familiar with his life history, you know that he has to live the life of a brahmachari, not only in one or two traditions, all the traditions, spiritual traditions of the world, and that he has become really universal in his outlook. Though he is a yogi Parsi, we should say, but he has absolute command over all the scriptures that are available in the world. That is the beauty of this person. Amazing. So, we become really delighted to welcome him in our midst. He will be describing Mandukya Upanishad with Gaura Padas Karika. It is a very, very small Upanishad with only 7 slokas. From the 6th sloka onward, Gaurapad started writing on his own ideas of the Upanishadic message that we receive from this Upanishad. Jagrat, Swapna and Sushupti. In these 3 states, the reality looks like how? That is the first thing. Jagrat, we see that we are in the world. We feel that we are one with it. Vishwabhuk, Vaishyanor, we are all Vaishyanor. And Swapna, we are all Tejas. We also enjoy through mind. And we separate our mind from our body in dream. Our bodies are lying on the bedstead in the room, closed within. But we move about and create a new world and enjoy and suffer. That's it. So, in what we do that? In mind. The physical enjoyment drops. So with mind we do all these things. So mind is all powerful. We have to know the mind. And mind also comes to a rest in deep sleep. When we are one with our existence is equated with pragya state. So this Vaishnav, Tejas and Pragya, these three states we are all familiar with. But reality is not that we are all enjoyers. Gross to subtle to the subtlest, Ananda, bliss we enjoy in deep sleep, Sushupti. You all know. Because after getting up from our dream and sleep, we feel fresh. We feel fresh. All fatigue gone, we feel fresh. We feel really bliss in deep sleep. But is that all? No. From 6th and 7th onward, we'll get a new test, TASTE test of the Upanishad, and that too from Rishi Gaudapada. Of course, Shankara's commentary will be having, he'll be referring to that also. It's astounding. That we say that in deep sleep we are one with Jivatman, our Atman, but that is not all. In the Bhagavad Gita 13th chapter, in the beginning you will get Khetragun Chapimang Vidhi Sarvaks Khetreshu Bharato. This body is Khetra, and the one who knows this body is Khetaggo. Khetra Gayar Gyanam Jattat Gyanam Matang Mama. We have to know the difference between Khetra and Khetraggo. So I am the knower of this body, I am Khetraggo. So each of us is Khetraggo because we know our body in deep sleep. That's it. But then there are so many Khetraggos, Jivatmans. There is no Advaita. But the goal of the Upanishad is to reach out to that Advaita, oneness of existence. How to do that? Then you have to find faults with that state of Jivatman. Very nice. And it is said that whatever is caused is finite. Even Jivatman is finite because it has a cause. It is the effect. And it does not know itself. There is ignorance associated with that. That is the starting point of Gaudapada's approach towards establishing Paramatman. Why do we need a Paramatman? Bhagavan Sri Krishna says, Khetragun chapi mang vidhi sarva khetreshu bharato. The individual people, the individuals, they have their own Khetraggo. Mind that, it's very interesting. We have so many Khetraggos, Jivatman, but know me also the Khetraggo of all these Khetraggos. How? That is, if there is no concept of, say, Paramatman developed, we cannot establish Advaita. And Gaudapada has done it very nicely. And I told you, it is only Mandukya Upanishad has only 7 slokas. But from 6th onwards, Gaudapada made extensive commentary, and the book has become this volume. Swami Lokeshwaranandaji, you are all familiar with his scholarship. Many of you might have heard him on this, say, speaking from this platform, podium. He discussed, it is his book, lectures compiled, Mandukya Upanishad, this Gaudapada's Karika. I got it from my sales counter. And it is an interesting study, I tell you. And you get a real great teacher to teach that. So with these few words, I welcome you all and welcome Sri M, the man of the hour right now, to be with us and to enlighten us and lead us from this temporal world to world of real blessedness. So,
Pranam. Thank you so much, Maharaj. Now, without wasting any more time, it's over to Sad.
Om Akhanda Mandalakaram Vyaptam Yena Characharam Tatpadam Darshidam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanam Shalakaya Chakshurumilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Om Sri Ramakrishna Namaha Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om. First of all, I thank Swami Suparnanand Ji Maharaj for coming here. He could have opened the auditorium and said, okay, you carry on, but he also came. I'm so happy about that. Thank you. Now, today's 3 days we have. So you don't have to worry about anything, whether we can complete the Mandukya Upanishad in 3 days. Yes. Complete means read. If you complete, then you don't need anything, it's over. But that I cannot guarantee. So, other day I heard Swami Sarvapriyananda of the New York Ramakrishna Mission saying in one of his talks that if you understand the Mandukya, then you understood everything. You don't need to understand. I don't want to go so far and say that, but yes, in a way it is true because it goes to the core of the matter. And it has only 12 slokas, 12 verses. And in this, the whole of Vedanta is summed up. Now, for those who have already heard and forgotten, and for those who haven't heard, because we are doing an Upanishad, I want you to understand what an Upanishad is, not only this Upanishad. Before please don't worry, in 3 days we will go through the whole Upanishad. Don't think that the introduction is going too long. It's not an introduction. I think you should understand this before we look into a particular Upanishad. So, before that, I want to quote from another Upanishad before we begin, lest after 3 days you tell me that no, we haven't understood the Supreme Being, because it's not a 3-day affair. Well, there are cases where it has happened, but we are not all like that. There is the case of a young man who discovered the truth by simply trying to figure out who he was. There is, you know who, Ramana Maharshi. But we are not all Ramana Maharshis. Because he didn't have a good teacher, don't think that everybody, we don't. Okay? People come to this earth after many births of sadhana. So when they come, they find that you find that they are going faster. Not because they haven't worked, but because you haven't worked as much as they worked for many lives. That is the reason. But in this matter, everything is fair in the spiritual field. Everything is fair. Nothing is unfair. So don't think why somebody got it just by asking, who am I? And every day I'm asking, who am I? Until my wife says, I think there's something wrong with this guy. He doesn't know who he is. So it is not like that. The second example, it's only in a highly spiritual state which the Yoga Shastras describe as Nirvikalpa, that such things are known, not by theoretically understanding something. And again, there are instances where somebody seems to have attained Nirvikalpa Samadhi in 1 day sitting, in 15 minutes. Now, again, don't expect that to happen. Because when the great Vedanta in Totapuri came to Dakshineshwar to teach Thakur, He liked his face, and usually people ask the teacher, can you please teach me? He went and asked him, do you want to learn Vedanta? And he, like an innocent boy, said, yes, I want to learn. So he took him in near the Panchavati, and in a few minutes, after he had explained what is the Supreme Being, with no adjuncts and no connections and no support, we found that he was in Nirvikalpa Samadhi. We couldn't believe it because 40 years he had worked to reach that stage. And here he explained to somebody, and it is over. So for 3 days he waited. After 3 days in that kind of state, if you allow a person to be, the body won't survive. So he forced some food into his mouth and woke him up. Now, these are rare instances. But the grace of the Supreme is such that it can happen to anybody at any time. I can't put any rules for that. There are no formulations. But before we go into the Upanishad, understanding what the Upanishad is, I have a quotation from another Upanishad, which I want you to hear, lest you think that immediately after this you will become all God-realized and go home and say, Aham Brahmasmi and things like that. So, I'm looking for Mandukya Upanishad. Bear with me. I think old age has caught up with me. I put something, and I find it missing. No, this is from the Kathopanishad, sorry. Interesting Upanishad, but we can't do the Kathopanishad right now. The Kathopanishad has a beautiful statement in the 23rd Sloka. Keep this in mind before we proceed. And after hearing this, if you don't want to listen and go home, that's also fine. The Kathopanishad says, Nayam Atma pravachanena labhya na medhaya na bahuna shrutena yame vaishya brunute tena labhyas tasyaisa atma vibrunute tanum swam. This self, that Supreme Self that you seek, cannot be attained by instruction. Pravachanena labhya, nayam atma pravachanena labhya. So what is the use of our pravachan? Nayam atma pravachanena labhyo, na medhaya na bahuna shrutena, nor by intellectual power. Don't think that Vedanta is intellectual power. Nor even through much hearing. Why? Because, then it says, it is attained only by one, whom the Self chooses, that Supreme Self. To such a one, the Self reveals its own nature. Now, since this might create a little discouragement, Sloka 24 says, however, there is a qualification which if you have, then the self becomes kind and says, okay, let him find out the self. And that is, Navi ratho duscharitan nashanto nashamahita nashanta manaso vapi prajnanenam apnuyat. That means he, a person who has not desisted from evil ways, he who is not tranquil, nor one who has no concentrated mind, nor even whose mind is not composed, can reach the self, even through right knowledge. These are the qualities which we need to develop before we can say, I know. Because the self then comes into being. When you practice these qualities and get ready to understand. Purify the mind, purify the mind, purify. Everybody says that. Right. Now, the Upanishad, why? Because Upanishad is also part of Shruti. What is Shruti? Today's introduction, please bear with me. Shruti is Shrotra, that means that which can be heard, not Smriti. Smriti can be read, taken home, homework can be done, you can form conclusions. Shruti is that which is heard. So therefore when you chant the Vedas and the Upanishads, everybody hears it. But it is called Shruti because when it is heard, when the mind is prepared fully or partially, as it was described in the Kathopanishad, the mind is ready, it is clear of all evil tendencies, it is clear of all disturbances. Such a mind, so all the sadhana is for that. Nobody has ever attained the supreme through sadhana. Sorry, I'm making a long sweeping statement. Yes, sadhana is done to clean the mind. And when the mind is open, even if the Lord wants to enter, you need space. If our mind is full of kachara, how will this Lord enter there? So therefore it seems, even those who begin the path of inquiry seem to have some blessing, otherwise they will not. There are 101 things to do. Go to Kolkata city, there are 101. Why are you all sitting here? Certainly not to waste your time. There is no entertainment here. So why are you here? Because something is there by which you're drawn to try to find out what are the deeper things in life. When that happens and as the mind becomes clear and quiet and tranquil, as Krishna says in the Gita, when the mind becomes sarvatra samabuddhaya, at all times, under all circumstances, tranquil, then the Shruti that is heard immediately has its effect. Otherwise you can hear 100 times, Tattvamasi, I am Atma, Brahma, and so on. It happens only when the mind is. So therefore, I'm saying this because I have also have the Ramakrishna mantra given to me. I have lived in the Ramakrishna mission as a brahmachari for different centers and different. I have also gone through, the rest I won't say about any past connections because it may sound absurd to you. But I have understood one thing, that rarely does a soul descend on this earth who really has an experience of this. Theoretically, yes, I can talk. It's very rare. It's so rare because where you can talk, you can say, oh, this is a formula. If you do this, you will get. There are many other parameters necessary for this. I'm just going to tell you that a small story before we go into the definition of an Upanishad. That once in Dakshineshwar, when in the early days, when everybody is sitting there, boys used to eat rasagullas and enjoy themselves. Suddenly, Thakur looks out and sees some people coming who belong to some Dashanami Sampradaya. So they're coming. So suddenly he stops all jokes and Hari Hari and all, and he says, the Aham Brahmasmis are coming. And then they come and sit down and they ask him to describe what is Samadhi. He starts describing. After 2 minutes of description, he has entered Samadhi. Okay? And one leg is down and one leg is up and his mouth is kind of half open. They are still sitting there thinking he is going to explain. He is in Samadhi. They don't realize that you are seeing Samadhi here and what are you waiting for? They wait for a long time and do pranams and go away. And then somebody calls him, Hridaya whispers into his ear and then he's back. So it happens only when the mind is so pure. There is no shortcut. Well, I teach Kriya, I understand. But Kriya also works differently for different people depending on the level of purification possible or required. I'm not trying to discourage you. Actually, it's a message of hope, not discouragement, not despair, as you said. So, now the Upanishad. In the ancient times, in the time of the rishis, the truths that are there in the Vedas were scattered. There was no order. Many great rishis heard this as a Shruti. Shruti is heard. But the Supreme Being, the Upanishad says, the Kathopanishad, Ashrotre and Ashrunoti and Ashrotramidam Shrutam, that which even the ears cannot hear. Anyway. So, these great rishis, they in deep levels of, high levels of what you might call a super sensual state, heard certain truths. This is the Shruti. They heard it, they didn't study it or read it. And then they taught to their disciples in the forest academies, and sometimes to great kings who were also rishis like Janaka. Yajnavalkya, the great rishi, was the guru of Janaka. So, then came someone called Vyasa, who systematized. He found that people are looking around for this tottering and not being able to find souls. Different rishis say different things. He put them all together and compiled them and made them into the Rig, Yajur, Sama and Atharvana Vedas. Now therefore a compiler in Sanskrit is called Vyasa. Therefore he is called Veda Vyasa, one who compiled the Vedas. Before that time it was not compiled. It was a large body of scattered literature. He made it into 4 parts. Then he wrote the Mahabharata, then he wrote the Brahma Sutras and so on, and Bhagavad Gita, and of course the Bhagavad and so on. So it became the Rig, Yajur, Sama and Atharvana. Now, while the 4 Vedas were being taught, we know that these 4 Vedas, many of us know, Rig, Yajur, Sama, Atharvana. The problem is, when we say Vedas, we generally think that only the Samhita portion is the Veda. No. Vedas consist of the Samhitas in the beginning. Of course, Samhitas are also important. One of the most important mantras, the Gayatri, comes from the Rig Veda Samhita. Agree. But after that, there is one part which is called the Brahmanas. The Brahmanas are also Veda. Please don't separate it. Don't think only Samhitas are Vedas. The Brahmanas are the ceremonial part which describe how to apply certain mantras and what results to get, sometimes temporal, sometimes spiritual. These are the Brahmanas. After the Brahmanas come the Aranyakas. Now these Aranyakas were those part of the Vedas which were taught in the forest academies, in the hermitage of rishis, where the teacher and the student sat together and learned many things. Believe me, there were no microphones or loudspeakers, so they sat close to each other. There was no COVID, so there was nothing to fear, and learned. Now this is the Aranyakas. They are called Aranyakas because they were learned in the Aranya. Aranya is a forest. Now the Upanishads fall under this category. At the end, you will find many of the Aranyakas are also Upanishads. So when you say Vedas, please remember they are all together, all the portions. And the study of the Upanishad is called Vedanta, Vedanta, because it comes at the end of the Vedas. Anta, last part of the Vedas. It is also called Vedanta because it is said that when it is properly understood, nothing more needs to be understood. End. Veda also means knowledge. Nothing more to be understood. So what did I say? Right. So these are the Upanishads. Now, there are 11 principal Upanishads. 11 principal Upanishads. Now, I want to say something interesting before that. When I was with Maheshwarnath Babaji, and when we started learning the Upanishad, I am still carrying some because I feel that I may miss something. Maheshwarnath Babaji started the Upanishad with me when I was 19 and a half years old, sitting on the banks of the Ganga in Rishikesh. Suddenly he said, "Aaj hum Upanishad seeking," and I am looking, where does he carry the books? Where are they? Nothing. Then he started chanting and I also chanted with him. And then he turned to me and said, "You are remembering to chant." I said, "Babaji, remembering means?" He said, "Baad mein batayenge." So, okay. Not like me, hard man, little bit hard. So anyway, this is how I learned Upanishads. And since I learned first the Kathopanishad, it's my favorite Upanishad. It also comes from the Samaveda, about which Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita while describing his glories himself. Among the Vedas, I am Samavedosmi, I am the Samaveda. Anyway, we won't go into that. One day we'll do the Kathopanishad. It will take more days. So, we will discuss that, Samaveda. So today, So among the 11 principal Upanishads, then there are many other Upanishads. There are also Upanishads called the Yogopanishads, more than 20 or 21 in number. If you go through any of the Vedic things taught anywhere today, including the Yoga Pradipika and so on, you will find that the roots are already there in the Yoga Upanishad. In fact, there is a Yoga Upanishad called the Hamso Upanishad, where you will find what in Kriya is taught as Hamsa. It's also an Upanishad. Now, these 11 principal Upanishads were commented upon by all the major acharyas. Uttishta jagrata prapya varanya bodhat is a quotation from the Upanishad. Swamiji was very fond of it. Arise, awake and stop not till your goal is reached, because many people get fed up, get tired and stop before reaching the goal. Anyway, so Adi Shankara onwards, Ramanujacharya, Vishishta-Dvaita, Madhvacharya, Dvaita, then innumerable other acharyas, Nimbarka, Vallabha, everybody has touched upon, if not fully, at least some parts of these Upanishads. Therefore, they are the principal Upanishads and they are the oldest, the earliest Upanishad. Among them comes our Upanishad, Mandukya. Now, the Upanishad is a word which has 3 syllables. Upa, Ni and Shad. Upa, as I told you, these were things which were called the Rahasya. They were taught in secret in the hermitages, talking between the teacher and the taught. There may not be many students. The Rishi was not interested in gathering disciples. Plus, there was no internet, no YouTubes, only iTubes. So, few people sat, no microphone, they spoke softly. So it's called Rahasya. Now, when this happened, therefore, Upa means to be close, to sit close. to be in close proximity with each other, the teacher and the student. Upa. When you say, I'm doing Upavasa, people think, yes, Upavasa is fasting and so on, but it means to move closer to the Supreme. So, Upa. Now, you should remember that Upa, when Adi Shankara translates the Upanishads, he was such a scholar in Sanskrit that he goes to the root meaning of each word and syllable. And he says that Upa is not merely sitting in physical proximity, but that the minds, the mana of both the teacher and the taught are in close proximity. Because if your mind and my mind are moving at the same frequency, close to each other, then no words need to be uttered, it's understood. Because what is happening here will happen there. Have you seen the image of Dakshinamurti? No words, nothing. He just sits like this, and there are lots of people sitting and they understand. This is Upa, that the minds have come close. Then Shad. Shad means to sit. Literal meaning of Shad is sit. Again Shankara goes deep into it. Now when you say again sit, it's not just the body sitting, okay? You may be sitting here, but your mind may be somewhere else. Mentally, sometimes people sit and listen, but they are not actually listening, because the minds have listened to something else before, and there is a comparison going on. What did they say? What did he say? So therefore, there is no attention. It's gone. So when you sit and listen completely close to each other, that is called sitting. Shad. Now Shad has another meaning. According to Adi Shankara, Shad also, the root Shad means also to shake up. Now here shake up means shake up one from the sleep of ignorance. Shake one up from the darkness and ignorance. Also it means shake one up from the ordinary kind of logic that we have. You know how our logic is? If I am here, then I am only here, and you are there. You are only there. You cannot be here and there at the same time, right? You can't. Now, the Upanishad says, Ishavasya Upanishad, describing the supreme reality, the Atman of all, tad dure, tad vadantike, it's far and it is so near. Now this is shaking up our logic, because you can't say something is far and it cannot be near. It has to be either far or it has to be near. It can't be both, right? But what we are dealing with is that it can be both. Why both? Because if you understand the Upanishadic concept, Isha Vashyamidam Sarvam, that supreme reality pervades everything here and now, how will you go there and find it if it is here? It's a contradiction. So therefore, when all movement stops, reaching out, everything stops, perhaps then you know where it is, right? This is shaking up our ordinary logic. How do we think life is happy? If I have a house, if I have a car, sometimes 2 cars, sometimes 3. If I have a wife, sometimes, oh no, I won't go into that. And so on. Then we feel we are happy, we have acquired many things. But the Upanishad says, Tena tyaktena bhunjita, let go and rejoice. The opposite of that. They're not saying you should sell away your car and go to the Himalayas. Nothing will happen if you go there. Thakur, Sri Ramakrishna used to say that something called monkey Sanyas, that Maragata Sanyas. You fail in your exams, then you go off to the Kashi. Fed up of this world. After 4 days, you write home saying, can you please send me a money order? not that kind of giving up. Giving up means letting go, saying that things can happen, things may not happen, but my mind has to be tranquil. That is the meaning. Also, if you run away to a cave, what will you do? Will you leave your mind here and go up? Okay, I leave my mind in Esplanade and I go. It's also going with you. Right? There's only one person, one kind of person who leaves everything in the evening at the strike of 7 o'clock and is absorbed in the spirit. I mean, it comes in bottles. We are saying that we are also drunks. We also manufacture some liquor. But that liquor is different. So we're not saying don't enjoy. We're saying come, enjoy. But for that you have to leave that enjoyment. You heard the story that Thakur was being taken in a buggy through the Esplanade and he suddenly saw a drunk on the road, reeling. He said, stop, stop. So they stopped. He ran out of the thing and embraced this man. And he said, we are brothers. You are drunk, I am also drunk. With great difficulty they brought him back. So, this is what it is. So therefore you see the shaking up. We're talking about something which looks quite different but is similar in this world. This shaking up and looking, changing your direction is also the meaning of Shad. I can go on and tell you why this world as we see it is not what you see, but we won't go into that, it's too long. We'll maybe do it somewhere in between. Now, then there is this word ni in the middle. Deliberately I left it to be described later. Ni indicates the attitude of the taught to the teacher. Because if the person who is learning sits down in front of the teacher saying, I already know everything, nothing is going to work. Blocked. Because first, the vessel that receives has to be emptied. If there is no space, what will you receive? I know everything. Okay, fine, you know everything. Fine, thank you very much. But then that blocks what you learn. Right? So, ni indicates the Hindi word niche. The root is ni, that means sitting down. It's like trying to fill a vessel which is already full. Not possible. First you empty it, clean it and then keep it. Also when you keep a vessel to fill something, even physically, you cannot fill anything in a vessel kept here like this. Even physically, you have to keep it down. Right? So that attitude is represented by the sound ni. So when you put all this together, it is Upanishad. This is what we should remember when we hear, when we learn the Upanishad. Even though the Upanishad says, I am Nayam Atma Pravachanena Labhya, not attend to any pravachanas. Understanding this, we should listen. So we come to the Mandukya. Now the Mandukya Upanishad comes from the Atharvana Veda. It is a very famous, like Swamiji mentioned. It is one of the first commentaries on Vedanta written by Gaudapada. Gaudapada was the grand guru of Adi Shankara. He is supposed to have sat in Badrinath and written the commentaries on Mandukya. As I said, it's only 12 slokas, but Gaudapada's commentary runs into many pages. Then, it is perhaps considered to be the first commentary on Vedanta to be written. Then Shankara wrote a commentary on Gaudapada's Karika, which runs into several pages. And how many slokas? Only 12. So this is the Upanishad we are going to learn. Now this Upanishad does not deal with what you should be doing or what you should not be doing, or what to practice, what not to practice. It just goes into the discussion of something common to all mankind, which is the different states of consciousness. One, of course, which we rarely experience and understand. The rest three we are somewhat familiar with. And while describing it, it goes into the detail and explains how we as human beings experience that state of consciousness. And it is common to all. Man, woman, Indian, foreigner. See, look, one thing you must understand, the Upanishads are meant for humanity. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Or Sarve bhavantu sukhina. Meant for all humanity, not meant for any one community or anybody of that kind. Although we cannot forget the fact that it originated in this wonderful country. That we shouldn't forget. Be a little proud, it's okay. Like Swamiji used to say, there's no harm in being proud of your culture and nature and sources, because he said, donkeys have no pride. Anyway, so this Upanishad is from the Atharvana Veda. It has been variously translated and variously... and while describing the three states of consciousness, it also describes the great pranava, or the sound called Om. This is how it begins. I'm sorry about coming here and looking at the pages, because I just took it and came. I don't prepare for a talk. Got it, sorry. So, it starts with the significance of Om. See, normally, many of us know that Om is made of 3 syllables of A, U and M. And they signify creation, preservation and the ending. We know this is kind of many people know, common knowledge, that A means the beginning, because it is the most fundamental sound which even a dumb person can make. Even a baby starts with A, simplest sound, alpha. In Sanskrit, the first letter A is called Akshara, indestructible, because it is linked to this pranava. Then you know the U sound. The U represents the preservation of what has already been created, or I will put it, manifested. What has already been, nothing is created new, everything is manifested. So continuation of the manifestation, preservation is U. And Mahavishnu is the deity presented there. Brahma, Mahavishnu. Then when you say Om, you close your mouth. You need to utter another word, you have to open your mouth. Therefore it is the end of what you are doing right now. You closed. So that Ma is Maheshwara, the destroyer. I would say, you can't say destroyer, but regenerator. Because you can't get anything new when the old doesn't go. We usually worry and suffer because we think we should be here forever. Everything that is born will have to go. Because if it doesn't go, there is no space for anything new to come. the person, the figure or the term that is used for that which goes is the last syllable ma, which is Maheshwara. This is the usual, but this Upanishad gives a completely different explanation of Om. It begins like this. Om iti etad aksharam midam sarvam tasyopa vyakhyanam bhutam bhavad bhavishyaditi sarvam omkara eva yachanyat trikalatitam tadapi omkara eva. Now, as we go along, if I find that we run short of time, I may just do the translation, even though I love to hear the language. You can't explain this in English. You can't translate, for instance. Om iti etad aksharam idam sarvam. How do you translate? Om, this syllable is all this. It doesn't really. Then an explanation of that follows. Om iti etad aksharam idam tasyopa vyakhyanam. Here begins the description. Bhutam bhavad bhavishyaditi sarvam omkarameva. That Om is the past, the present and the future. Yat chanyat trikalatitam tadapi omka. And whatever else is there which is beyond past, present and future, that too is the syllable Om. Now, therefore, what does it describe? It says that the first, we'll come to that. Sarvam hi etad Brahma, ayam Atma Brahma, so ayam Atma Chatuspat. All this is verily the Supreme Reality, the Self, myself. I am Atma Brahma, my Atman is also the Brahman, the Supreme. But this Self has four parts, four quarters. The first quarter, jagrata sthana bahishprajnaha saptanga, you will get it. The first quarter is Vaishvanara, whose sphere of activity is the waking state and who recognizes external objects. And it describes the 7 limbs and 19 mouths, etc., which means the sense organs, the jnanendriyas, the karmendriyas and all this. It simply means that the first quarter of Vaishvanara, which is A of Om, and then it describes what is next. The second quarter of this Om, which is U, is Swapnasthano antaprajnaha sapna. The second quarter is called Taijasa, which is U, is called Taijasa. And then describes how the Taijasa enjoys the world. And next is that quarter which is represented by Ma, where one is fast asleep, does not desire whatsoever, does not see any dream whatsoever. That is deep sleep. This is called prajna. It is full of bliss. It's a mass of cognition. It enjoys the bliss. And its face is thought, which means the first thing that destroys this is thought. Now I am going to leave this 5 here and describe each state. A is the waking state. Now, do we really need to describe or explain what is the waking state? Do we? Yes or no? Yes. Why? Are we awake or asleep? So, there are, actually yes, we have to go a little bit deep into the waking state, which is A. Normally when we say waking state, It's only half a waking state, jagrata. Why? Half of the mind is daydreaming. When it is fully awake, it's not daydreaming. It's fully engaged with the world. And it is common to all human beings. Some people say that we are not awake but sleeping. It's only when ignorance is gone that we wake up. And we leave that for the time being. We know what is waking state. No description is necessary. I say I am awake. Not this awake. Arise awake. I am in the state of wakefulness where all my indriyas are working, panchendriyas are working. Arati. This is discipline. Has to attend the Arati now. And after the Arati they will sing. Today is Ram Navami, no? Even when there is no Ram Navami, they sing Shuddha Brahma Parat Pararam. So we are dealing here with Shuddha Brahma Parat Pararam. Kalatmaka Parameshwararam as the Supreme Brahman. So, so that is the waking. And what happens in waking state? We recognize the world through our senses, 5 senses, panchendriyas. Taste, touch, smell, what else? Hearing and seeing. These are the states. Now, this is the world we know. We don't know any other world. And all our life and thoughts revolve only around this world that you see. In fact, some would say that what is not seen doesn't exist. It's not true. You cannot see the atoms and electrons, but they exist. So, now the second state represented by U, which is the dream state called Tejasa here. This one needs a little bit of examination. How? We all dream, right? In the night. Daydreams are there, but in the night we all dream. Now here is a state which is real, but is not real. Because when we are dreaming, you can't say the dream is not real. It's like waking. In a dream, I may fall in love with somebody. When I wake up, there is nobody there. Or in a dream. Why is it called Tejasa? Because when you sleep and dream, your eyes are closed, right? There's darkness, but you see everything as if in full daylight. It means self-lit, Tejasa. Now, if you're suppose being chased by a Bengal tiger, we are in Kolkata, in the dream. Now, if you ask, is it real or unreal? It is real. Because you're running for your life. And even when you wake up, if you examine all the parameters of high heartbeat, perspiration, everything is there. Not only that, you're looking to see if it's still there. Why? Because it's so real. But when you wake up, it is not. It has disappeared. So how real is it? So somebody asked this question. If in the dream you won't believe it's a dream, when you wake up you find it is gone, it's a dream. Maybe now also we are going through a deep, big, long dream. If you say now, nobody will believe it. It's like telling a dreamer that you are dreaming. It's not, he said, no, it's quite real. When you wake up. So maybe there is a wake up from this state when you say, oh my God, what a long dream. What it does is, induces a little bit of doubt on your evidence on which you base reality. That's all it does. The only difference between sleep experience and waking state is the waking state has a continuity while the dream state does not have. Like in a dream, if you dream that you are the Prime Minister of this country, suppose. Suppose I dream. When I wake up, I am still the same person, no? Right? So, the difference between a dream and waking state is, in waking there is continuity. In dream there is no continuity. Any day. One day you can be the Sultan of Turkey. But when you wake up, you are still whatever your name is, Banerjee or somebody lying in the bed. So this continuity is not there. Apart from that, a dream state demonstrates that if something is real in one state and not real in other state, you can dismiss it as non-real. However, there is one thing that is real. That is the witness. Witness is there. In waking state, there is a witness. In dream state, there is a witness. The witness doesn't change, but the states keep changing. Therefore, the question the Upanishad asks is, if something is constantly changing, is it real? But the witness is not changing, so that may be the reality. This is the question from where the whole thing goes. Stop. And if I find out that witness, perhaps I found something that is always there. Passing through different stages, watching everything, not getting caught by it. This is the same question that the great Rishi and king, Raja Rishi, asked his guru Yajnavalkya. Sir, because he had a long dream, and he dreamt that he was a beggar, suffering, no food, and so on. And then he woke up that he is in a luxurious bed in his palace, and then at that time the great Yajnavalkya arrived, who was his guru. So he asked him, Sir, please tell me, am I a pauper, a beggar, or am I a king? Because just 2 minutes ago I thought I was a beggar, I was suffering. Now I wake up, I find that I am the king. Which is the reality? Because what if my dream had continued? I had no control over it. I would have continued to be a beggar. I may not have seen you come in. Please explain to me. And Yajnavalkya explains to him that it is the witness that is most important and not the states which it witnesses. And when you touch the real witness, then you are free of all stages. So, A, according to this Upanishad, represents the waking state. U, according to this Upanishad, represents the dream state, Tejasa. Then there is Om, when you say Om, Brahma, that the Upanishad says represents Sushupti or deep dreamless sleep. Is there anything beyond that? We will go into that. Now, since we are going to go into it in tomorrow's Satsang, I want to say something about the waking state where we are, I hope, now. 1 hour, I hope we are now. This waking state is also very peculiar, although we may not have noticed it. How do we recognize this world? Yes, through our senses. Now, our senses, there is this thing sitting here, right? This green colored thing, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-sided. We say it is glass, something hard, of course, and colored green sitting here. So we think we have seen it and experienced it through our senses. Here the main sense is eye, chakshu, through sight. And then I pick it up, touch. And then there is the color, which again is the eye. And I'm holding it in my hand, trying to crush it, so it's hard. So touch again. So I call this solid, what is this thing called? 1, 2, 3, 4. Hexagon. Solid green hexagon. We have decided, yes, it is so. Okay, fine. Now the question is, how do we recognize them? What are the senses? One is the eye, other is the touch. Now the eye is the most important thing for us. Most human beings live mostly by the eye. Of course, number 6, Baligans, taste also. But basically the eye. Even if you want to buy a car, you look for the color. You want to wear clothes, you look for the... Somebody gave me this today, nice color. Eye is very important. Now I want to just look at this carefully. One organ of sensation and how it works and what we think is this waking world. Can it be truly what we think it is, or could... We'll get it. Wait. Somebody shouted now. Let's take color first. You know, what is color? Anything? Huh? Yes. That is clearer. When I say this is green, we all know that the sun emits colors. Huh? And the range is called Vibgyor. Violet, indigo, blue, green, orange, red. So the sun emits these colors, or any artificial light also emits these colors. When I say this is green, it simply means that this object has the capacity to absorb all other colors of the spectrum and reflect the green. Therefore, I say it is green, or red, or whatever. Now the question is, so is it really the quality of the object, or is it the quality of light? But this object has the capacity to absorb all colors and reflect only the green, admitted. But that green or whatever, is it really a quality of the object, or is it the quality of the light? Light. Right. Light, right. No, it's not. Eye, that we are coming to. So this is what it is. So the quality which we call green is no longer the quality of the object. It is the quality of light. Okay. Now I see it, she said, as an octagon. Why? Because of my eyes. Now, I have been born, or you have been born, you've all been born, with a certain kind of lens in our eyes. A convex lens of a certain power, generally. Huh? 3 dimension. Therefore, we see this shape. Now imagine, you know that the housefly has compound eyes. How will the housefly, what shape will it see this? We don't know. It has compound eyes, which means many eyes put together. And the strength of the lens may be different. So what shape will it see this as? It may be different. So is this really the shape of the thing? We don't know. According to our eyes, it is. Absolutely nobody can say. Now, size. Because I'm a big man, or I'm a grown-up, I'm not a big man, I say that I can hold it in my palm, so it is small for me. For a small child, it may be a big thing. So is size actually concerned with the object, or what we think about it? Our perception. Okay. Then you say, but it is very hard, yeah, for me. For an elephant, it is not hard at all. It might just put its legs, gone. Okay. Then you say it has size. But it means it's very small. A small ant to climb this will take quite some time. For the ant, it is a mountain or a peak. So which is correct, the ant or me? Okay. Both are right and both are therefore absolutely wrong in the absolute sense. Cloth, I say that this is a solid cloth, my finger cannot penetrate this, right? But you know that cloth is made up of the warp and woof. Between the weaving there is space. Hundreds of viruses and bacteria can pass through it. For them, each of these between two weaves is like a fort. For us, it is solid. Which is correct? We are right. They are also right. So which is absolutely right? That we are all wrong. That there is something, of course, no doubt. That something is not what we think it is. We can say it exists. Beyond that, we cannot say how it exists or what it exists, because it is dependent on our instruments of perception. This is the waking state. And about these instruments of perception, the great poet Alexander Pope made a beautiful statement. He said, the difference is as great between the optic seeing as the object seeing. You know those optical illusions? So, even in waking state, we cannot be absolutely sure that what we think is right. Just give it benefit of doubt, that's all I am asking. What is hard may be soft, what is soft may be hard for some. What is big may be small, and what is small may be big for some. It all depends on the observer. Now, some years back when I was finishing school, even before, even my dad was finishing school, we thought we knew all about the laws of nature. Physicists thought that they knew everything. And because we depended mainly on Newtonian physics. You know what is Newtonian physics? It is useful today also. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction, and so on and so forth. Then science progressed and progressed and progressed. And then we came to quantum physics. And then they started examining. Now, do you know that a quantum, what you might call it, a quantum brick, which means the first building block of this whole universe, cannot be seen even with the most powerful electron microscope. So how do you know it exists? Through its reactions in a field, electromagnetic field, you know that it exists. Now when you see it and think, oh, this is the smallest particle called a quantum, it then starts behaving like a wave. Then you say, oh my God, it is a wave. So you watch it, it begins to behave like a particle. In fact, some scientists like David Bohm have gone to the extent of saying that it perhaps totally depends on the observer, its existence. The observer is more important than what is being observed. Not totally accepted yet. I think at some point they will come to this. So now that principle is called the principle of uncertainty. So from certainty of Newtonian physics, we have come to the principle of uncertainty in quantum physics regarding matter. And when we say waking state, it is mostly consisting of matter and our interaction with that matter. We are also matter, of course. So how certain can it be? At least give the benefit of doubt. Maybe it's not what we think it is. It may be something else. That it exists, we have no doubt. But it exists as this, we cannot say for sure. As pure existence, yes, it is there. Something is there. This is the waking state. But it is so real to us. So therefore we accept it, because most of the time we are in it, I hope. Half the time is in sleep, but most of the time. So we will stop now and we will go to the dream and deep sleep tomorrow. We're just looking at the waking state, which is A, first syllable of Om. Next we will closely examine the dream state and then go to Sushupti, which is deep sleep, and examine how we are related to that. And it is common to all human beings. There is no belief system, we are just looking at it. And then we will go to that which is called Turiya, which is beyond even the waking state, and which according to the Upanishad is our true essence. And if you see that, then there is only the witness, because nothing else to be witnessed. So if you say, how do you know that exists? Well, it's simple. I see everything here in this hall because I have my eyes, right? That I can see everything in the hall is proof that I have eyes. I can't say I can't see my own eyes, so I do not exist. Eyes do not exist. Yeah, I can see an image in the mirror, but that's not the same. My eye can't turn around and look at itself. But I can't deny that it exists because it can see many things. It's similar. Like water is used to purify many things, to clean many things. The water doesn't clean itself, right? Anyway, okay, thank you very much. Namaskar.